I wanted to start a new series in which I complain about how something I enjoyed reading inevitably got cancelled or rushed into an early ending, and I thought the best place to start was with 2020's Hard Boiled Cop and Dolphin. Also, like and subscribe. The start of the manga introduces us to the concept that roughly 5% of ocean life has been observed by humanity, and that, doing some very quick maths here, 95% is still undocumented. With that out of the way, we now cut very quickly to an ongoing hostage situation in Tokyo, as a man wielding a knife held to the throat of a woman is being talked down by the cops. Officer Boyle Samajima arrives, smoking a cigarette and wielding a gun. He offers the knife man 3 choices, all of which end with him getting slugged and the day being saved. The hostage is rescued, the knife man is laid out, and Officer Boyle is immediately fired. After dodging a sacking and being sent off to a remote island in need of new cops, Officer Boyle introduces himself to the audience as a tough-as-nails, hard-boiled cop with a love of violence and justice. Hard-boiled. Adjective. Of an egg, boiled until both white and yolk are solidified. Devoid of sentimentality. Of, relating to, or being a detective story featuring a tough, unsentimental protagonist and a matter-of-fact attitude towards violence. Oh yeah, I should also say this is a comedy if you couldn't already tell. After being introduced to Officer Umi Nanase, the love interest, maybe? We start getting trickle-fed that underneath this idyllic island life, there is a dark and ever-present threat from the Cult of the Sea, a religious group that belonged to the island that vanished under mysterious circumstances, taking with them their oracle, a 5-year-old girl who could communicate with ocean creatures. However, it seems that 3 days ago, the same girl had been returned to the island on the back of a dolphin, which also appears to have raised her in a Shark Boy kind of scenario. I couldn't resist making a reference to Shark Boy and Lava Girl. One of the greatest movies ever made. Finally get our first proper look at Officer Orpheus, or Orphe as he likes to be known, and his daughter Choco, the same girl as the Oracle, and after a brief fight between the two regarding smoking in front of Choco, a call comes in. There's been a hit and run. Together, the two cops solidify their new partnership by taking down some IRL streamers. Thank God. I, like other normal people, have a deep, deep dislike for IRL streamers. They get arrested, guns are drawn and fired, and the lives of a mother and her child are saved. All in a day's work for the hard-boiled Cop and Dolphin. The next chapter introduces us to what Orphe describes as ocean crime, and how this police station is on the front line of this never-ending battle. A bombing by a rapidly evolving octopus that also takes inspiration from Parasite, clearly, leads to an epic battle between the Orwellian horror and our hard-boiled officer, every tentacle capable of exploding from an enemy that won't stop evolving and growing in strength until Orphe saves the day with a single body slam. As it turns out, our bomber was simply frustrated by the amount of garbage that ends up floating off the island to outside his front door, and he simply had enough this day and decided to do something about it. I said garbage. I'm not American. That was a very weird thing for me to do. I meant rubbish. Despite being the perpetrator of some very serious terrorist activity, the octopus is allowed to go free, as long as he doesn't do it again. After another day of thwarting crime, and now ocean crime, more light is shed on Choco and her origin, as well as her standing as the oracle of the Cult of the Sea. It is revealed to Officer Boyle that Choco has the power of revelations. She can predict the future, and also manifest it by speaking it into existence. What does that mean? She can forcibly evolve people and animals so that her prophecies come true. Something witnessed by Officer Boyle when he sees Choco speaking Starpunk into existence. In terms of abilities and power, there is probably nothing more broken than this, which is probably why it suits a comedy manga so well. It also leaves us wondering, is Orpheus really a dolphin that's been evolved by Choco into becoming her father and protector? How is he linked to the Cult of the Sea? Is Choco responsible for the group's disappearance? Why are there so many jokes about Nanase's breasts? Everything I've spoken about is covered in the first 4 chapters of the manga, and so that I don't spoil much more of it, I'm just going to talk about some of the things that I really enjoyed rather than the overall plot. You should seriously go read this for yourself. It's only 47 chapters. That's like a single evening of reading. The action panels are very nicely drawn and convey heavy hits really well, which, if it didn't, would seriously impact on some of the comedy elements as well. I mean, there's nothing funnier than someone trying to have a serious moment only to be interrupted by a kick to the face. I'll be honest, the comedy can be a bit hit or miss, although this is obviously a subjective opinion. I can't say that I find the entire chapter dedicated to Nanase's boobs particularly funny, or even enjoyable, but hey, if that's your comedy, that's your comedy. Although I do have to give credit where it's due. The dad jokes that are scattered throughout this series are incredible. And finally, the overarching mystery and setup of the Cult of the Sea and underwater crime gangs kept me reading on a weekly basis, determined to figure out for myself the origins of so many characters and their true motivations. The fact it got cancelled was devastating at the time, and with my rereading of it this year, I can't help but feel unsurprised. Maybe there was no future for a series so aptly named as Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin. Yeah, the title really isn't selling it, I'll be honest. But anyway, someone out there, please go read Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin. I need to talk to people about it, which you can do over in my Discord. You should go check it out. Oh, and also like and subscribe. It really helps out. It means a lot to me. And that's been the manga graveyard.